Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we're going to be talking about several different things that all revolve around the topic of various popular streamers starting to stream over on Kick. We're going to talk at some point about Asmongold and his shift over there, at least for multi-streaming, and how people are melting down and having very normal reactions to that development. But I want to start with something different. I'm going to start with someone else who's also taking the plunge because there's some comedic relief here that's a good way to start off the video. So who are we talking about here? Well, Donut Operator, he recently announced he's going to be streaming pretty much on every platform, including Kick. Now, in case you don't know, Donut Operator is a former law enforcement guy, a veteran. A lot of his content has to do with firearms, and he recently shared this on his podcast that he's a co-host of, where they had Tectone on. They were talking about various things, and eventually the topic of Idubbbz came out. And Donut Operator would share why his friendship completely collapsed with Idubbbz over one joke. And you're not going to believe what it is.
So like he went to a range day with me one time. Like we used to talk a lot about content creation and stuff. And COVID rolls around, I get bored at home, so I make an OnlyFans where I'm showing my meat.
Really?
And so, well, basically, I'm taking a steak and I'm rating a steak. and like,
see, that's the reaction that you're supposed to have. Genius.
I thought it was funny. So I'd be wearing like just an apron. Of course, I'm wearing like boxers underneath. And I'd reach down and be like, this is my OnlyFans. And this is an A5 Wagyu from down the street. And I would talk about it. And I sent it to Ian, and he got mad and called me and like said I was making fun of Anissa, and like I wasn't. I just thought it was a funny bit because I was sitting at home during COVID. And
you'll never understand what it's like to be an ally.
Yeah, it was he like said stuff like that, and just like haven't talked to him since. That was like 5 years ago.
Over that?
Yeah, and I've like texted him and tried to reconnect with him. He just won't talk to me anymore.
Yep, that's it. An entire friendship ruined over a simple OnlyFans joke, where instead of showing what he's saying here, he just pulled out a steak. And that was the pun, of course. Now, for those who don't know, back in 2020, around that time when OnlyFans was blowing up, a lot of people would make these sorts of parody posts where they're like, oh yeah, starting on an account, blah, blah, blah. Or they make some sort of a parody joke that was supposed to like bait people into checking it out, where they're not actually doing any sort of NSFW content. And apparently Idubbbz back then took this very personally, even though it's not directly about anyone, including his wife who's on OnlyFans, and ended their friendship. And they haven't spoken in 5 years since, despite him trying to reach out and check in on him. Very crazy stuff. But Idubbbz would respond to this by quoting the account sharing this clip, saying, conveniently leaving out that your girlfriend at the time was pursuing OnlyFans, but you were too pussy to deal with the criticism, so you made a parody account. No, I don't want to be friends with a coward. Another real head scratcher from Idubbbz these days. I feel like the last 4 or 5 main tweets he's made, it's hard to understand what he's even trying to say. I guess in this case, he's saying the joke was a part of his insecurity about his then girlfriend, Donut Operator's then girlfriend at the time, pursuing OnlyFans. Like, I don't understand. Like, did she create an account or not? Like, why does he say it like pursuing OnlyFans, like she's pursuing a higher education or something? That website is incredibly predatory. I'm pretty sure you can create an account in like 5 minutes. So I don't really understand what he's trying to prove here. And the main crux of his criticism that he's making here, he's trying to say that Donut Operator is a pussy and a coward for having an issue with his then girlfriend setting up an OnlyFans account. I don't really think that's the W take you think it is, because most people would understand where he'd be coming from in that scenario that's being described right here. And a lot of people would presumably point to Idubbbz's history of defending the topic. This was one of his first heavily disliked videos where during his early stages of his empathy journey, he made this video called Sex Workers, Idubbbz Complains, where he defends them. And a lot of people assume this is because people criticized his wife for being on OnlyFans, and clearly this struck a nerve with him. And the replies to what Idubbbz said is kind of what a lot of people are thinking. It's just confusion. People don't really understand what he's trying to say here, and it's not really even a point that ultimately would be in his favor anyways. It just makes Idubbbz look kind of bad. But you can see Denim's TV saying this. The insecurity is crazy. One of the Hassan orbiters weighing in here. And I agree. Idubbbz is insecure. Now, we all know that's not what she's trying to imply here. She's implying Donut Operator is, but I at least gave her a chance right there. But another person would weigh in. Anissa, of course, where she says this in response to the point being made by Donut Operator over the joke ending their friendship. She says this: "He also took us to a gun show where a child accidentally fired a gun that was loaded on the sales table into the crowd, and everyone nonchalantly said ND in unison like it wasn't a big deal." That's a cool story. What does that have to do with anything? Like, this whole thing is about a joke ending a friendship, and then Anissa goes, he took us to a gun range where this thing happened. Okay, and also I notice here, like, besides the fact this is totally irrelevant, you can see the proposed note that says the gun show in question was actually a firing range, and I always find that very interesting when people like Anissa, who have a history of lying and being a hypocrite on many things, when they lie about the smallest details. Like, this is a very disprovable fact that it was not a gun show, it was actually a firing range, and it's not like the biggest detail, but it's like, why lie about that? Other than to create a false narrative on the situation, to try to bolster whatever it is they're doing here. Like, is there a gas leak going on at the Joma's household? Because they're not making any sense with any of the tweets they're making, responding to people, talking about them in any sort of a way. And you can see, like, 600 likes with almost 200 comments. People are roasting her. But, of course, that tweet here cited in the proposed note was from Brandon Herrera, who's also a co-host on that podcast, where he says, I was going to set the record straight, but turns out she preemptively blocked me. What she's calling a gun show was a live firing range, conveniently left that out for no particular reason, I'm sure." And you can see she preemptively blocked him before he would have any chance to set the record straight here, but that was the situation. So we tied him in because Donut Operator is now going to multi-stream on Kick, and that goes with the theme of today's video. So who's the other person? Of course, already mentioned, it's Asmongold. He made a video explaining this move, where, to clarify a couple things, as some of his video, most importantly, he's still streaming on Twitch. His content is not changing in any sort of a way. He's just going to dual stream, where he's going to stream on Twitch and Kick at the same time, and the content he's doing is going to be the same. That's pretty much it when it comes to the dynamic here, but he listed some of the reasons why he's doing this. Apparently he's wanted to do this for a long time, but a lot of platforms banned multi-streaming up until recently. And also he mentioned that Kick has been on the rise. And I'll be the first to admit, just like he admitted in his video, I didn't think Kick would keep this momentum going for so long. Their numbers have steadily increased over time, and they're still rising to this day. And some people go, well, but there's a lot of view botting over there. There's a lot of view botting on Twitch too. Like, it's not even a subtle secret whatsoever. But during this time, Twitch has been either stagnant or on the decline ever since COVID really happened. So you see one that is a sinking ship versus another, in this case Kick, that's on the rise. Kind of makes sense to start dipping your toes in that new area, right? And he also mentioned the fact that he believes there's a sort of Armageddon coming to Twitch, where, based on everything that's been going on, especially with like the Hassan Piker stuff and other people are causing a lot of crazy controversy, eventually Twitch is going to be forced into completely reworking their moderation system, and it's probably going to clamp down on everyone who does any political content or covers anything even slightly controversial. And guys like Asmongold will probably be the first ones on the chopping block, so he wants to expand his horizons to somewhere else. And also, a lot of people were like, well, you're on a site that hosts gambling, are you going to gamble? And he said 100% unequivocally, no, he's not going to participate in that. And a lot of people on Twitter have been attacking anyone going over to Kick because they have gambling on that platform. And I find it funny because they're talking about how degenerate that is in the defense of Twitch, where they have their own major degeneracy problems. Like, you think about all of the titty streamers, for a lack of a better term, who are making the most egregious content, very hypersexualized, and in many cases being put on the front of the platform, on the main page, a platform that is hostable to teenagers, by the way. You can sign up an account as a teenager on Twitch, and people have their own gripe about that. And there's another thing he mentioned, and he mentioned Lucy Pyre, who is a VTuber who was recently banned on Twitch for doing a reveal of her new swimsuit model. And yes, to answer the question, she was in the pools category, which allows you to have swimsuits. And she followed the rules, and she had a swimsuit for a VTuber model that was much more tame, I would say, than pretty much the majority of people in that category. But Twitch, as they always do, they're never beating the VTuber hater allegations. She was banned, and it appears she wasn't even really given any sort of explanation for this. And it's ironic because, again, there's much worse content on there with IRL streamers. I mean, they have like 1,000 different camera angles. There's girls on there on their 15th ban for having a camera so close to their ass you're practically seeing their colon. There's a lot of crazy stuff, and it seems like VTubers are always hit, and that just proves the favoritism going on with Twitch and how they apply the rules to some, but not to others. And the thing with Kick is a lot of people say it's under-moderated, that they let too many things through. In my personal opinion, they got to really clamp down on the nuisance streamers and the people doing the worst stuff over there too. But on Twitch, it's more unstable because it's about favoritism. Who does Twitch prioritize and treat differently with their rules? It's pretty obvious who gets the benefit of the doubt and who doesn't, but that's not fair. And some people don't like that instability. And to clarify, eventually, Lucy would be unbanned after just over a day. And apparently, there was like no communication whatsoever. And just left a bad taste in another person's mouth. And again, as people are migrating and dual streaming on other platforms, you keep pissing people off. It's only going to make things worse. Now, like I said, you have this tweet here from Kick sharing this news, and people, the hashtag normal people, were very upset, reaching very hard to demonize him in this case. You can see this person saying, so is Kick like for all the dog shit people to go to when they get kicked out of other platforms? There are like dozens upon dozens of quotes and replies saying the same thing, that he's been banned on Twitch, that he's been forced into Kick, when in reality he's just dual streaming. Like, this is a instantly discoverable point that they don't want to discover because they want to complain. Here's another one saying, it's so funny that anytime a streamer has a controversy, they sign with Kick. Unless there's another controversy I'm not aware of, like the only one I can think of is the whole Palestine comments that he apologized for like 6 months ago. But other than that, I don't know what this person's trying to say. This one's saying, dude, I just opened the Kick app and flies started jumping on my phone. That's funny, you get it? It's because Asmongold has a dirty room. Have you ever heard the jokes about his room before? Very original in the year 2025, by the way. Here's another one saying, Kick is never beating the Fourth Reich allegations. Yes, the Fourth Reich is when a streamer dual streams on Kick. Amazing. Now contrast that comment with this one saying, boycott Kick. I think this person with they, them pronouns is getting their wires crossed, because everyone else is accusing Kick all the time of being like an alt-right paradise. You know, they don't really have proof for that, but this person's then saying boycott Kick in response to Asmongold going over there. I think they're a bit confused. I think they're a little bit lost here. Here's another one from another Hassan Orbiter saying Twitch has the opportunity to do the funniest thing, implying they should ban him. That might be funny to people who don't like him, but to Twitch, that would not be funny at all. I mean, they're on the decline pretty hard, and he's one of their biggest streamers. I don't think they want to see him go. In fact, I think this whole situation's a big L for Twitch, because even if a small percentage of his audience migrates over to Kick, that's their loss, and it's a pretty significant one, especially given the fact he's a big part of their platform. Here's another one saying, is that a crosshair? Pull the trigger. Ah, yes. Apparently streaming on a different platform gets you a death threat, and this person says they're on their 300,000th accounts. I wonder why. Here's another one saying his name was originally supposed to be Asmongold, but he's illiterate. and couldn't spell it right. Think you're trying a little bit too hard there, man. I gotta be honest. Here's another one saying soon with this caption. As I always say, it's disturbing how comfortable people are accusing people of stuff like this because they simply don't like them on the internet. Case in point, number 1000. Here's another one saying Kick is community college for streamers. Okay, that's funny. That's funny. Here's another one saying, I effing hate this smug. See you next Tuesday. You know, I think these people would benefit a lot from just not paying attention to content creators they don't like, you know, just do like anything else, by the way. And also all this energy and hostility just because he's joining Kick. Like, apparently Extra Emily's also possibly heading over to Kick. Like, I doubt all these people have the same energy for her, and they really shouldn't. They shouldn't have the energy for everyone involved, but, you know, that's just the way Twitter works. And speaking of Twitch, by the way, how's Twitch doing? Well, people are mocking this because they're doing a Philips One Blade promotion on their Twitter account. So, like, apparently there's not enough ads on their actual streaming platform. They have to do it on Twitch, too. Very desperate times. And also, just before going live recording this, apparently the head of the ADL has once again mentioned Hassan Piker by name because of the recent Boulder arson attack where someone threw Molotov cocktails on Jewish people while screaming Free Palestine, and he's once again saying the violent rhetoric of many of these streamers might be having an impact on these sorts of events. And yeah, couldn't be happening at a worse time in terms of PR, where you had the head of the ADL going after Twitch. Never been a fan of the ADL, still am not, but it's just crazy to see this dynamic going on here, and they're basically eviscerating each other, and nobody feels sorry for Twitch getting caught up in this because they've tolerated this sort of rhetoric for a very long time, and it's really just their fault at this point that we've gotten here. But anyways, that was some of the news going on with Kick and people starting to dual stream on there, and, you know, it's going to be causing a lot of controversy, and we'll see if more people start going over. I would imagine after seeing larger streamers like Asmongold go over, other people will follow suit. But for now, we'll have to wait and see, and that'll do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.